Everybody, what is up? This is your boy Mike, and I am joined today remotely by my good friend. You know her, I know her, you love her, I love her. We got Rachel Kim in the house. Rachel, what is up?
Rachel Kim in the house. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. Gosh, already a mistake.
So Rachel and I, we're going to be talking about this, obviously an issue that is known globally right now. It's causing a lot of discussion. A lot of people want to know. It basically revolves around the death of George Floyd. But more specifically, what we're going to be talking about is Koreans are viewing the protests, Koreans are viewing the idea of Black Lives Matter. We're going to be talking about that. And I'm going to learn a lot. I know you're going to learn a lot.
I'm going to be learning a lot too.
She's going to be learning a lot too. So it's just going to be a lot of learning. So I'm really excited for this video. I hope you are. And with no further ado, let's get into it. And I know you cannot really answer for all the Koreans, but just from what you've seen, from what you've heard, and maybe with also a little bit of your opinion thrown in there as well, how are Koreans viewing the protests that are happening all around the world?
Well, from what I've seen, people are sharing their deepest condolences, and we are all sad, we are angry for you, we are frustrated too. And just, I don't know what to say except for I'm really so sorry that it is happening in 2020. We're just seeing the riot, his death, and how the media is portraying it. Me personally, I'm deeply in shock. And I think a lot of Koreans are also like not being able to believe what's going on, as a lot of people in America are.
Especially with the protests themselves, right? Like the death of George Floyd was hard, and then the fact that we see it on film, which is it's kind of hard to look at, right? You're looking at someone who their life is draining away, and it's not a movie. It's not a movie, right? It's a real life event where you see someone's life force slowly draining out of their body. That is a really hard thing to see, right?
It is painful, and it hurts my heart. Physically hurts me. And
I'm pretty sure that no Koreans can really fathom it happening here in Korea.
So I was thinking, I was born and raised in Korea, and we grew up, only the factor that distinguish people is wealth. You know what I mean? Like wealth inequality is probably like one of the biggest thing that we are thinking of when it comes to discrimination and differences, inequality. But in America, there is a huge factor, race, which is something that I didn't even need to think of growing up. But it is like one of the biggest part, and the thing that has been dividing people, has been making people conflict with one another. And just so from what I've learned, from what I've seen, it's just something that I can not easily understand, because this is something not my culture here.
Yeah, it's completely, and it's completely foreign to you, right? It's completely foreign, the concept of actually having multiple races or ethnicities as a part of your country, right? When everybody literally is Korean.
When I think of the race thing, the race factor, is when I go abroad and when I really see, I'm Asian, and there are different people. It's so dumb, I'm sorry, but I just haven't really thought a lot about it.
No, it's not.
Sorry, this sounds really dumb and this sounds bad. I'm really sorry. And I've studied a couple of years in America, but maybe I'm dull about this, or people were really open-minded, but I haven't really went through direct racism to me, like directly to me. So I haven't had much experiences in
race. And I think that is fine. That is great. That is fantastic that you've never experienced that, because I mean, no one should have to experience that type of thing. At the same time, if you were to experience it, then you would also have a better understanding of how people who deal with it all the time would feel, right?
That is why I'm so angry, because I truly believe people should be treated equally, and people are people. Everyone is the same. Everyone has the equal right as a human being. And because the concept is so foreign to me, of course, I know racism.
Right.
People are talking about, people share their experiences. And I've seen a lot of people doing chinky eyes and calling people with racial slur. I know all that, but just this has been just something that we see from the media or we see from the internet. I didn't see this actually happening to someone, and to the extent of someone's death. So this is crazy. Just
even as someone who is Black, to actually see it and experience it, it is a feeling that I truly can't describe to you. It is, even though I'm gonna try and describe it anyway right now, it's very dehumanizing. You don't feel like you do not feel like you're a human. You do not feel safe. You do not feel that wherever you are, you should be there. I mean, and I've had times, and as a matter of fact, we've had this conversation before, and you've mentioned it countless times where I said, you know, where I'm from in the South, when, you know, when I'm driving, and let's say I need to stop for gas or I want to get something to eat, some places I don't stop at. There have been places where I did stop at, and you could feel eyes just focused on you. And people look at you, and you can read eyes. You can look at people's eyes and tell what they're thinking, right? And the thought that I can see is, why are you here? Why are you here? What are you doing here? You need to leave.
To eat? Are you dumb? This is a gas station, and I'm here to fill up my gas and pick up some items that I can snack on in the car. Like, are you? What? I would be so offended if I feel the eyes, and I don't know. Because I don't have the experience, or I'm not wise enough, because I'm not experienced. I would be offended right away and stare them back and speak with my eyes like, what are you looking at? Because that's unfair. I know, being treated that way.
You know, and believe it or not, what's really crazy, at one point in time, which I'm saying this one point in time, but I'm pretty sure it would still happen these days, that you would say, what are you looking at, to these people, and they will say something right back to you. They will tell you, you need to get out. They will call you a name. Oh yeah, in America at one point, now I say again, one point in time, it still happens where someone will say something really dirty right back to you. See, like in Korea, like, you know, if someone stared at me, I can say like, "Weiboseyo," like why, like, you know, why are you looking, right? And then they'll look away, right? But a lot of times in the U.S., if someone has that intention, if they're looking at you with that type of like feeling, that type of hate or whatever, or ignorance, they can say something to you right back. And believe it or not, and those people, they exist, and they're not as rare as we want to think.
Y'all think you... Hey, tell them to go back where they belong. Just because you come from another country, it don't make you nobody. You're nobody, as far as I'm concerned. Probably on welfare. The taxpayers probably paid for all that stuff.
I really want to believe they're rare, because those people who have the audacity of staring at a stranger in such a rude way, because they were able to do that already, they can also say those racial slurs because they were already those terrible people. But it's shocking to me that you say they are not that rare. They should be rare.
They're not as rare as you think. They're not as rare, and that is what's surprising. That was kind of what hit me a little bit harder as I was growing up, because I'm the type of person, I have friends from all over, right? But then you have to, well, when you realize the reality of where you live, the history of where you live, as well as the nature of people as well in that area, it kind of breaks your heart in a way. And then you're like, wow, I'm not as safe, or I'm not as accepted as I thought I was. And so that kind of helps you understand why these protests are happening. And you know, and to go back a little bit, the death of George Floyd, that started the protest. But the death of George Floyd was truly the straw that broke the camel's back, like that. It was just the catalyst, because these things have been building up for so long, shoot, man.
So unfair. You shared with me posts of African Americans' history in the United States, and it upset me so bad.
Bull Connor called in the fire department and K-9 units. Teenagers and children became targets for high-pressure water hoses and snarling police dogs. News reports and images from Birmingham spread like wildfire.
And it was probably 5 a.m. or like you shared with me the night before, and then I was like talking to you 6 a.m. in the morning, deeply upset to the core, and I was like, man, this is so unfair.
I know. And you know, my mom, you know, and I made a video a while back, and I think you saw that video as well, where my mom's just talking about the past, and she didn't go over everything. There was way more she could say, but like things such as like the Birmingham church bombing, where, and I mentioned it to Alex, where it was 4 girls who were killed in a church because a man bombed the church, killed 4 young teenage girls. You know, there's that. There's also, this is less with cops or anything like that, but this is more of like the sit-ins, where in, I think it's like the 1950s, what was it, like 1960s, where people were protesting peacefully, might I add, peacefully protesting segregation. And so they would go into like a white restaurant, and they would sit at the counter. You weren't supposed to sit at the counter. You were meant to go, if you wanted to order from that restaurant, you had to go all the way to the back door, and then you be served at the back door. Only the seating area was for the white patrons. And so these black people went in, sat down at the counter, expected to get served. Or no, excuse me, they wouldn't expect to get served, but they would sit there as a way of protest, right? And as a result, and they also had some white allies as well. So it wasn't just black people. There were a few white people there who would also back them up and sit there with them, right? But then you also had people who would get up out of their seat, they would crowd around, and they would pour food on them, drinks on them. Sometimes these people would get beat. Rachel, just imagine you sitting at a counter with your black friend, and then now you look behind you, and there's 20, 25, 30 people.
Come in and they sit down, and we're not used to them sitting down beside us, because I wasn't raised with them. I never have lived with them, and I'm not going to start now.
So that is where the protests are coming from. It's from years and years and years of just this racial hatred, discrimination.
This is really sad, and I'm so sorry. It's not, because I'm also being really careful about this. I'm all for it. I'm so deeply, I'm so against racism, big no, stop it. This is so unfair. This is just ridiculous. At the same time, because it's not my culture, this is even a racism culture. If I criticize racism as a Korean, am I even allowed to say something? Because I feel bad. Racism is wrong. I can say that, but to Americans, just because it's, I feel like this is my position to say anything, but I just can't say racism is bad, and and I think it's really wrong, and I'm angry for you, sad for you.
Yeah. You know, this is going to lead into our next question. But even if you were to say like racism is wrong, and then you were to describe the racism that is wrong, you will still have pushback, which is really sad. The way that you say like, this is racist, this is wrong. There will still be people who will push back and say, this isn't racist. What are you talking about? This isn't racist. Or what about this? What about this? They'll be like, it's wrong for a cop to kill black people. Yeah, but what about all the black people who kill black people? And we're going to talk about this in a second when we talk about Black Lives Matter. But a lot of people are going to bring in other things to kind of steer our attention away from our purpose. So, which leads us to our next question, which is,
So we only need to speak it louder, and the meaning of Black Lives Matter shouldn't be minimized or should be interfered by other phrases, such as All Lives Matter.
We did talk about All Lives
it
Matter
in my video. Yeah. I mean, it's not the time, man. We are talking about our needs.
And we talked about how All Lives Matter in itself was created to veer our focus and our attention on Black lives to looking at everybody, which ironically, not really, Black lives is a part of all lives. So if you do support All Lives Mattering, then that means you have to support that of Black Lives Matter.
Exactly. I hate people who weakens the point and beating around the bush. Dude, we're not talking about it. We're talking about this. Let's hear them out. Let's be there for them. Not like, oh, what about this? What about this? No, we are talking about this now.
Yes. And I cannot understand why people want to not help other people when there's obviously bad things happening. There's obviously people who are dying who should not be dying. What is so hard about being a part of a movement that will stop killing innocent people or stop killing people unnecessarily? I just don't understand.
You tell me. That really frustrates me.
I think a lot of Americans right now are trying to figure out why they're having opposition. To go back to like one of the questions I asked you, or the question I asked you before about the protest. It's frustrating that there are actually people coming in from other cities, other towns, other states to join in on the protest, but they're causing damage. They're actually destructively destroying public property intentionally.
Well, intentionally?
So I was looking at a clip of the CNN Center in Atlanta. It was getting vandalized, and a lot of people who were damaging the windows were white men. And so I was asking myself, why is it? Okay, I understand that we're protesting. First of all, why are we destroying this? Why are we destroying this? And then the second of all, I do find it interesting because they have reported that some of the men, and not all white men obviously who are protesting for this movement, but like some of the people who are protesting, who are white men, are intentionally destroying property. That is sad, and that is pathetic. Pathetic.
That's
and it should. And it should.
Boils my
That should make you
blood.
upset.
Because it's so clear. Without even saying what it is, it's so clear. Their motivation is so clear as the sky. It's just very
It's terrible.
poor.
It's terrible. Those people need to be found. They need to be arrested and thrown in prison. Like, I freaking hate people like that, honestly. I freaking hate people like that.
I think they are coward.
Oh, they're
coward.
they're cowards because a lot of them are hiding behind masks. Yeah, only cowards hide behind masks. Whether it's these guys, the Ku Klux Klan, whatever, they're cowards.
They are scared of the change, and they are just. I think they are losers. Yeah.
And that's it. That's all they are. I'm gonna ask you the next question, okay?
So, question: even in America, that is perceived as a weird way of treating a suspect. Okay, this is not normal.
Yes, if you look at the video, again, the officer had his knee in his neck, yeah? And he was clearly in control.
No one stopped it. No one stopped it.
No, the other officers were there, and if you look at the footage, people are yelling. People are just yelling at that cop.
I know.
They were yelling at him, get off of him. He's not resisting. Get off of him. Get off of him. I mean, there probably were multiple people filming that. There were probably multiple camera angles that just haven't been released. But the officer had his hands in his pocket. There is no threat. The guy is down. He's down. He's not getting up. And he's just still there. He's just still there. And I feel that George Floyd was just treated like cattle. He was treated just like an animal that was going to be slaughtered.
This is so unfair.
It is so unfair. And you know, Rachel, what really hurts the most is that none of it surprises me.
Oh my God.
None of it surprises me. And it makes me angry. But the fact that it happened, I'm pretty sure a lot of our viewers out there probably feels the same way. It doesn't surprise me because there is so much history of Black people being treated like cattle, being treated like property, being treated like they're not even human.
You've got to keep the white and the black separate, just like you got to keep them in school.
It should end. It should end here. It can't happen again. This is so unfair. And I know too, this is not just about George Floyd. It's not just about his death. Like you said, it's been so long and it's been piled upon the anger, frustration, and unfairness. What can we do?
What I think you can do as an ally, whether you are Korean, whether you're white, what you can do as an ally, and I actually said it to your video, one, make sure you listen. People are talking. The problem is there's too many people talking and it's drowning out the voices that truly matter. Sometimes you gotta shut up and listen and hear these people out. If you have a Black friend, you know, I'm your Black friend, hey. If you have a Black friend, you need to listen to your Black friend. Ask them how they feel. Now, I've also heard that some Black people are being tired of asking how they feel right now. Like, are you okay? And Black people are like, yes, I'm fine, I'm fine. Like, I've heard both sides where some people are like, I'm upset. And some Black people are like, can you please stop asking me? Like, I'm okay. But it's because it's multiple people asking. Multiple, right? It's multiple.
I see. Yeah.
So, but I think if you were to have that Black friend, just truly ask them what is their opinion on things and how they think that you can help. Because we all have a part to play. If we're open to playing that part, to listening, and with the intention of doing something, I think things can change. But the problem is in America, and I'm not gonna say I expect this, I pray that this doesn't happen. George Floyd is not just another death that we protest, we get upset, and then a couple of weeks later, a month later, 2 months later, everybody goes about their lives, which the problem is the system. There's a system in place to where we are supposed to go about our lives and then everything returns back to normal the way it was before, which is bad. We need to actually mobilize, organize, and actually work to fix this thing because it's gonna take everybody.
Listening here.
And I think you're doing a great job. You're just being a friend, you're there, you're listening, and you said it, I wanna know more. I wanna know more. I wanna know how I can help.
We all should know more. We all should listen. We all should try to be there for each other.
We should. We need to be there. This is where we all need to come together, whether you're American or not. Whether you're American or not. And that's why you're starting to see, and I've just been looking at the news a lot, they're protesting in Canada, in Toronto, because of an unlawful death of a young girl. They're protesting in the UK for unlawful deaths, Black people who died due to police. They're protesting in France for people who've died due to police. So it's literally, it's not just an American thing, even though America probably has, I'm not gonna say we have the most because I don't know the other numbers, but we definitely have a lot. But just looking at this, you can see that Black bodies all around the world, to a lot of people, they don't matter. They don't matter. And that is the sad part. They need to matter because Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
It matters.
I know this is deep, but this is the kind of conversation that we have to have. And I think it's the kind of conversation that it hurts. So even though it's deep with you and me, I know if certain other people were to have this conversation, it would be painful. It would be excruciatingly painful, because especially people who not only do they have privilege, but they don't want to admit it, they don't want to see it.
Thank you for giving me the chance, asking me questions. Like, you asked me questions.
No, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for being open. Thank you guys for being here. And if you got value out of this video, if this video really made you think, if this video made you angry to the point where you want to do something about it, you want to help solve this problem, then please go do something about it. There are so many organizations that you can donate money to. You can go protest yourself. And even if you're afraid to protest or there's no protest happening around you, you need to talk to people. Stand up for people. Speak out against racism if you hear someone being racist or prejudiced. That is the role that you can play in this. And also make sure you like and subscribe also for more content, because we're going to be talking about this probably for the next few weeks. So Rachel's also coming out with a video. Earlier in the video I said that it was coming out today. It's not coming out today, same day. It's actually coming out the next Sunday. So in a week, you will see Rachel's video. So make sure that you check it back in on her video. We have a conversation. Can I spoil it just a little bit about what it's about?
Of course.
We have a conversation about the Asian and Black community, us understanding each other and us fighting this together. So please make sure you come back in, check it out. It's a good video. There's a lot of talking, a lot of thinking. Again, thank you, Rachel, for that opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the plug.
Oh yeah, no problem.
And thank you for the talk.
Oh heck yeah, anytime.
Yeah,
we have to have
lot.
this talk for us to both grow, right? And make this world better. So, but for all of you guys, make sure you be cool. Until the next video, peace.
Peace.